That, everyone, is the sound of the Super Chat. And as I promised, because there were some live shows, where I walk around, and I got a lot of Super Chats during those live shows, so I just wanted to celebrate those Super Chats with the sound of the Super Chat. With that being said, if you're unfamiliar with my live shows, every live show I have this didgeridoo out. And any time that a Super Chat comes through, and the Super Chat, all you got to do is click that little Super Chat button down in the chat section. I will make the sound of the Super Chat. And if we get through $100 US during any live show, I will then break out the tribal drum. $200, there's a special surprise that'll have to be unlocked at $200. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with this live show. It is 8 p.m. New York City time on the 11th of June, 2020. The year that a lot of us want to forget already. Speaking of that, let's see, we got tons of people tuning in here. We got Andrea, we got Jake, we got Geo1, Tech for Your Needs, Jesus Fernandez. And Jake says, hey, I'm here. So are my sisters McKenna and Maya. Got a full house here. Got more people tuning in. This show obviously is in the studio, broadcasting live with a slightly different setup tonight. I hope the audio is fine. I hope the lips are in sync. I've been playing with the live streaming configuration. Actually, at the time of streaming this, I've got Final Cut Pro 10 rendering a 4K video project. Got a couple videos coming out, not related to drones, but I've got how to make homemade tacos, and I've also got how to make the perfect frozen margarita. So, got some videos in progress here while we do this live stream. Let's see. We've got Jake says, nice times. What's the pump up music called? And if it's what I think it is, YouTube channel Zombie Go Boom, or yeah, I'll have to check. It's definitely YouTube Content Creator Audio Library, royalty free audio. And Jesus says, hello everyone. Jake says, showtime. You're right, it is showtime. Andrea says, LOL, nice. Jake says, oh, did you check out Terry Pepper's vid of the old Duluth diaphone foghorn? Actually, when I was going to sleep last night, I fell asleep early, and I was thinking about foghorns, because we had the big, you were talking about the foghorns yesterday, and it's piqued my curiosity. I'll check it out. I haven't checked it out yet, admittedly, but it is something I want to check out. I was beat yesterday. It was like, I was tired. Today I've got a sore throat, and as scary as it sounds, I got a little bit of a cough, and I've got a little bit of loss of taste. So, hopefully it's not what I think it is, but if it is, so be it. I'm going to drink some tequila and be fine with it. Tech for Your Needs says, my name is Louise. Welcome, Louise. Always good to have you, man. I've seen you around actually during some of the live shows, and also your comments throughout the channel. So, your viewership and you being here is awesome, man. Andrea says, everything is good, thank you. Andrea says, oh, yum, tacos. Yep, you can't beat tacos. The thing is, a taco, and I'm not going to spoil the taco video, but it's a 10-minute, in-depth, how to make homemade tacos video. So there's a lot of things, and again, I kept it simple, and there's a lot of simple ingredients that you'll find within the video, but the thing is, I do some things that I think, if you choose to make tacos the same way, even if you're getting a taco kit, the little box taco kit, I think you can really jazz it up and have some incredible tacos at home. And check out my how to make the perfect frozen margarita video too. That's going to release, and what's better than tacos and margaritas? I forgot the chips and salsa. That's the only thing I forgot. Jesus says, man, that margarita looks good. I'll tell you, it is good. Actually, the video that I'm going to post, probably, it's running through Final Cut Pro 10 right now, but I'll probably post it tomorrow. That's the actual making of this margarita that's in my hands. So, the secret to the perfect margarita, number one, is quality tequila. It doesn't have to be expensive, but I would get 100% agave tequila, Reposado. I like the Reposado, just personal preference. And then also the, you know, if you've got the time to make your own margarita mix, souring too quickly, too sweet. So you got to be careful if you're using mix. And also to jazz it up, obviously fresh lime and margarita salt. Andrea says, what are you drinking tonight? Well, of course, I'm drinking the margarita. What is hopefully the perfect frozen margarita. Stay tuned for the video. You'll see everything that's in it. Even the blender that I used to make this thing. Andrea says, it was hot yesterday, especially when walking. Yeah, I was burning up. Well, actually, it was pretty windy, and it was hot and windy, and I got some wind burn. I'm hoping that's why I've got the sore throat. I'm hoping that's why I'm losing my taste. You know, I'm hoping I don't have that stuff that's going around, because if I do, that's not going to be any fun. That's why I'm drinking this margarita. Andrea says, oh no, you'll be fine. Yes, we will all get through this, the entire world. Jake says, it's really nice, and it was recorded a mile away by Terry's great-grandfather. Jake says, nothing beats a fresh-made margarita, frozen or not. Yeah, frozen margaritas are kind of my favorite, but if I'm out of ice, you know, making a margarita, and, well, if you're out of ice, you won't be able to make a margarita on the rocks either. But if you don't want to do the frozen, on the rocks can be good as well. Let's see. Andrea says Taco Thursdays, Taco Thursdays, Taco Tuesdays, Taco Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if you want it to be. That's the beauty of it. Jake says, hope you like my Spanish on margarita. Hablo español así. Me llamo IrixGuy. Soy de YouTube. Okay, so, yep, we got a lot of stuff brewing here. We've got, well, I got a lot of videos in the works. Like I said, right now I've got how to make the perfect frozen margarita and how to make homemade tacos. But I've also got, I'm going to pull it up now, the list, and tell me if I failed to include something on this list, because you gave me a lot of ideas while I was walking. Upcoming videos that I have. Thanks to Luty, L-U-T-Y, flying the Mavic Air 2 without the sticks, without having the stick screwed in. Another video, free SSL tutorial. So how to create and implement a free SSL certificate on your web server. You know, those things can get expensive. So how do you do it on the cheap? You can go post a video for that. How to change the language within the DJI Fly app. What is the orange bar at the bottom of the DJI Fly app? Surge protector review. I got these really rad surge protectors in the studio. You got to see them. They're really cool. How to film quick shots in 4K. And this is in response to feedback from Daytona. Using an application called AirMap to request a flight. How to move quick launch bar among monitors. That's for Mac OS. Mavic Air 2 still photos test with A7R4 comparison. That was something from a live walk show the other day. Mavic Air 2 Asteroid. 240 frames per second slow motion Mavic Air 2 waterfall video. Is the Mavic 2 Pro or the Mavic Air 2 better? Follow-up opinions. Okay, I got these. I've done these. Low light performance test. That's something I want to do as well. So tell me what I'm missing from this list, because this is my YouTube video to-do list. that I'm working on throughout the next few days. So I need to make sure I've got everything that y'all have mentioned, because I know there's some live shows and I don't have my notepad out. Let's see. Jake says, maybe you can show us a Duluth old foghorn tonight. And if you do, give me a little shout out for the suggestion yesterday. The foghorn, yeah, I will show you the the didgeridoo horn. Let's see. Actually, no, I can't blow that until we get more super chats, because I've already done the super chat celebration for previous live shows where I didn't have the didgeridoo. So as the super chats come in during this live show, I will blow the didgeridoo. So let's see. But yeah, I'm curious about, and I would love to share that. The only thing is, I don't know with, when I'm sharing other content during a live stream, it gets kind of gray, a gray area. I don't want to, if you want to pop the link up within the chat to these videos, that would be awesome. I'm afraid to share that, just because I don't know. I'd have to research it, as far as fair use and copyright and all that's concerned. I don't want to have any audio and/or visuals, that could potentially negatively impact my standing with YouTube. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I'm very cautious. And let's see. But yeah, if you want to share your link to the foghorn, because we've been talking about that the past couple of live shows, and I want everybody to know what the foghorn sounds like, because that's some serious stuff, man. Serious stuff. Very serious. Oh, good call. And the YouTuber is Terry Pepper, for anyone wondering. So if you search for Terry Pepper on YouTube, and you search for Terry Pepper foghorn, you should be able to discover this. Let me see if I can, let me do this without playing it. Let me do Terry Pepper foghorn. Let's see, I'm going out to YouTube here. I'm going to see if I can find this link for everyone. Terry Pepper foghorn. The Duluth F2T diaphone. Whoa. Okay, so I'm gonna post this up for everyone here. So if y'all want to check this video out, this is the Duluth F2 Tango Foxtrot 2 Tango foghorn. So here's the link to it right here, thanks to Jake. So if you're into foghorns, if you've never heard a foghorn, or if you want to hear the Duluth foghorn, check out that link that I just posted, thanks to Jake. Well, here's the thing, and see, here's where I'm very cautious, and this is an area that I need to research, but I'm very cautious about sharing a video, photo, and/or audio. Even if and maybe it's all right. I'll have to research and see if it's all right. If I give credit to the creator, maybe it's okay, but I know there's been, in short, what's happened with YouTube recently, and I know a few YouTubers, even people that had obtained prior approval from the content creator, they'd say, may I use parts of your video within a video that I'm putting together? And they'll be like, yeah, that's fine. But there's been several situations where people have asked for permission to share some or all of a video within one of their videos, and then someone else from the channel that they shared it from come back and say, hey, actually I didn't approve that, and even though somebody from the organization did, they didn't, and for whatever reason they issue a copyright strike. So it can get yeah, like you said, Jake, don't risk it. I mean, I'm not. I mean, I would love to share it, and once I research it, and once I know that I'm confident that what I'm doing is compliant with YouTube's terms of service, then at that point, I'd love to share stuff, because that'll definitely make the shows, the live shows, a lot more exciting. And Mr. Sinister says, anti-glare screen protector for iPhone 11 to prevent sun glare while flying. Ever heard of a thing? Do they work? You know what's funny? First of all, I haven't heard of it. And then number two, I use iPhone XR, the little kind of cheap one with the best battery life. And I will say with iPhone XR, man, even in direct sunlight, now admittedly, if I'm in direct sunlight and I have my sunglasses on because they're polarized, if I do that, sometimes the screen's hard to see, but if I take my sunglasses off, I can see the screen perfectly well. So, I can understand for certain devices, certain iPhones, certain Android phones, there may be the need to install a sunshade and or a glare protector, and that's actually interesting that there's a glare protector available. I need to dig into that and and put maybe try one of them out and put a link up to it on my website, because that is something that would be very useful. And you're not having, with a glare protector, you're not having to deal with hauling a sunshade around with you. Jake says, I think I should try to get a recording of Cape Vincent Lighthouse fog signal, and if I do, yes, you can share it if you want. Dude, that'd be awesome, man. If you get that and you give me permission to share it, we will have the foghorns blaring here on the next one of the upcoming live shows. I think that'd be really cool. Trep says, hey, hi Trep, welcome aboard. Welcome back as usual. Always good to have you on these live streams here. Just getting through this. Any questions that y'all have, comments, any suggestions for upcoming video topics? I'm always trying to identify new topics that because some of my peak filming days, and obviously it has to do with weather, but most of the time my peak YouTube video filming days are Saturdays and Sundays, and then editing. I just edit. I typically download all the, shoot all the videos, most all the videos on Saturdays and Sundays, and then I do the editing in the evenings. And then a lot of times what I'll do is, and I'll do the editing on the weekends as well, but I'll put, I'll put together a bunch of videos, and most of the time have at least 7, 8, 9, 10 videos uploaded, already processed on YouTube's end, ready to publish. So, I'm always working to have as much content ready as possible. Because, what if you get sick? What if you get this Rona or whatever, and you're on your backside for a month and you can't really do anything, So I like to plan ahead with my content strategy for this channel. So let's see. Oh yeah. Now there's something on here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Oh, obviously the thing about Apple's going big controversy. Apple going with an ARM processor, and there's people debating. Is Apple going to go ARM across the board, or are they going to stick with their more portable devices like the MacBook Air and those sorts of devices first, or are they just going to do it all the way across with iMac, Mac Pro, MacBook Pro? How are they going to implement the ARM processors? And the Apple WWDC, Apple Worldwide Developers Conference, will be an online event this year, and it's on the 22nd. So hopefully on the 22nd, we'll all learn what Apple's next steps may be. Jake says, today I was ship spotting off of Wolf Island and spotted a big and spotted a LNG, which is liquid natural gas, tanker ship. Man, you wouldn't want to strike a match on that thing, would you? Liquid natural gas. I bet that stuff would blow up. I've spotted some weird ships, man. I spotted a ship in Bermuda. It was, what was it called? It was called the Bermuda Explorer, and did some research, and it was some sort of, it was just like a scientific research vessel. So that was kind of interesting. Jake says, today okay, I just read that comment. Yeah, so we got, let's see. Updated all my security SSL certificates. Now with websites, if you run websites, you've got to have what's called an SSL certificate. Anytime you go to a website and you look at the address bar and it's got that little lock icon towards the left of the website address, if you don't have that there, then your website is not lowered within internet search, but the websites that are SSL, HTTPS, they're going to rank higher than the ones that are non-SSL. So in essence, you're lowering yourself within search if you don't have SSL. And that was a big task, and I want to put together a tutorial video on that, explaining how to obtain a free SSL certificate, and then also how to implement that free SSL certificate. So it's quite an interesting process. I mean, on my servers, I use virtual servers, virtual Linux servers that I've configured from the ground up, host them with AWS, which is Amazon Web Services. One thing I like about Amazon Web Services is that you basically pay for the resources that you use. So being able to spin up a virtual server and run analysis tools to determine how can I best optimize my virtual server for my current traffic. It's easy to do that, and it's just been a really good experience, especially having full access to the server, and being able to administer all the updates. I'm root, I'm super user, being able to administer the firewalls, everything. It's like having your own data center, except it's at Amazon. I mean, it lives in Amazon, which there's not many data centers better than Amazon. So if I want to spin up additional virtual servers, I can, and I can create a network of virtual servers that physically live at Amazon. So it's pretty cool. Let's see. The ship was easy to ID by its massive high-pressure gas domes where the gas is stored during transport. Very, very cool. Andrea says ghost ships. You do see those. Actually, you don't see them because they're ghost ships. They sneak by, but they're all over Bermuda. Bermuda Triangle's got some weird stuff going on. Andrea says, I saw this article the other night that Apple will take in your Macs and give you gift cards to put towards new Macs. They actually, that's really cool. They did that, and I think that's going to be, I think it's going to provide a lot of value. Number one, I think it's kind of a little trick to encourage foot traffic into the retail stores, because obviously if you can drive customers into a brick and mortar store, even if you're giving them that trade-in, that's an incentive for them to come to your store. But then once they realize they've got money that they can spend, that's an opportunity for the sales team to upsell. So that person, their mission may be to go to an Apple retail store strictly because they know they can trade in their old Apple device. But then once they get in there, they trade that in, and then in their mind they're like, well, I got X amount of dollars for free because I traded in something I didn't want. Well, now I'm going to actually spend my money on top of that. So they walk in, they trade, they get what they intended to do, and then because of their own eagerness to get something else, or a salesperson's ability to upsell them, they walk out with a lot more. So I think that's a brilliant I think that's a brilliant thing. Actually, I just switched. I switched from a from a 2018 MacBook Pro to a 2019 16-inch MacBook Pro, and that's what I'm doing this live stream with. I use a service called Gazelle, and I'll give Gazelle credit. They're very efficient. Their prices are competitive. What they will pay is competitive. If you look at if you look at other options, like if you were selling on eBay, when you factor in commission fees, this, that, and the other, and then other options like dealing with Craigslist, having to do that Craigslist hustle, and just a lot of things that isn't necessarily streamlined. Gazelle makes it really simple, and I think that the Gazelle's cash or offers for old Apple devices are I think their offers are pretty fair. It'll be interesting to see how Apple's offers compare with a service like Gazelle. Jake says, on board an LNG tanker, it's forbidden to smoke anywhere on the ship due to the danger of the cargo. And when an LNG carrier comes into port, no other ship can dock until it's safely berthed. That makes sense. You got a bunch of drunks coming in a yacht and they slam into the side of it. That'd be a bad experience. Andrea says, old Macs I meant. Gotcha. Mr. Sinister, have you ever put a strobe light on your drone for dusk or night flying? I have not. And I think that would be cool. I'm going to do that. That's a great suggestion. Let me add that to my to-do video list here. Strobe light on drone. What, have you done that, and what's the cool thing about doing it? Oh, excuse me. I was drinking this too fast. I was getting the hiccups. Andrea says exactly. Talking about the pushing foot traffic to Apple retail stores. Andrea says Apple is pretty smart, especially if they are now coming out with the new Macs. I tell you, thinking about the new Macs, it doesn't scare me. I know it scared a lot of people, especially the people in the businesses that have potentially sunk thousands of dollars into the Mac Pros. Not the MacBook Pros, but the desktop Mac Pros. If you were a business or an individual, it's like a super hardcore graphics designer, video editor, whatever, and you sunk a lot of money into a Mac Pro, I bet those people were nervous because they're like, man, I just bought whatever, with the intent of having it for, 4 years or so. And now Apple's about to shift to ARM processors instead of Intel. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how it pans out. I'm in a similar boat now. Obviously, I didn't get anything. I didn't get a Mac Pro. I got a MacBook Pro, just a laptop that I'm using now. But I'm not worried about it because I needed to upgrade from the one I was using because the one I had was 16 gigs of RAM, which for most use cases is more than sufficient. But what I've found, and I've been looking at the activity monitor, which is an application within Mac OS X that'll show your CPU utilization, your memory utilization, GPU, which are your graphics cards. And from what I've seen so far, and I've got Final Cut running in the background. So I've got my real-time chroma key, my real-time green screen. I've got all of these effects running through Wirecast, which is a streaming app. Concurrently, I've got Final Cut Pro 10 in the background rendering a video in 4K, a 4K video. And I've got Google Chrome open with, chatting with your comments and about 10 other tabs in Chrome. I've got, that's what all I've got open. And right now, my memory utilization, I've got 32 gigs of physical memory in this MacBook Pro. Right now, I'm using 18.12 gigs. Now, I've seen it hit the high 20s, and that's as far as it's gone. With my 16 gig MacBook Pro, because I multitask so much, the 16 gigs was not quite enough. So, if you're not familiar with the current model MacBook Pros, they are what they are. You either get the memory when you buy it or you don't. It's not like the 27-inch iMac where it's got a little door on the back and you can upgrade the memory yourself. That's not an option with the MacBook Pro. I mean, I've never taken it apart. I never will take it apart. But apparently the memory is soldered to the motherboard. So, if you're getting a MacBook Pro, ask yourself, what is your use case? Are you going to be doing a lot of multitasking? If you are, just from my personal experiences with this MacBook Pro, this is the 2016 inch, and my previous MacBook Pro, which was the 15.4 inch from 2018, you probably need to consider splurging for 32. I don't know if 64 gigs of memory would be necessary for the masses. I haven't seen that I've gotten really close to 32, so actually I'm glad I didn't go with 64, spend the extra to go with the 64. But 32, I mean, this is a huge speed difference from this and my 2018 MacBook Pro. And the MacBook Pro 2018 was only a 6-core. This is an 8-core i9, so it's pretty beefy. Jake says, did you know that when a tanker comes into port, it has priority over all other ships when docking due to the risk the cargo may pose if a collision? Actually, I do know that because I'm Captain IrixGuy. Now that is something that I did know. Jake says LNG carriers are also very tough ships, as are all other tankers, and also double hulled like all tankers that carry fuels and chemicals. That makes sense. Have a double hull, so if something runs into you or you run into something, maybe it won't spring a leak. That is cool. Mr. Sinister said, I saw a video of someone using a drone strobe light. Looks cool, but I'm not sure if there are certain FAA regulations when using one. Well, obviously, and again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a politician, and this is just for entertainment purposes only. But what I do know is that night flying in most areas is illegal unless you have prior approval from whatever governing body, and that varies throughout the world. But with that being said, if someone was flying with strobe lights at night, they would likely be in violation of the law, assuming that night flight was disallowed. Now, if you're flying during civil sunset or civil sunrise, unless the rules change and you happen to have a strobe on it then, unless there's something I'm not aware of, I don't know how that would be an issue. But anything could be an issue. It's a crazy world we live in here. Jake says oil tankers always have double holes to prevent a spill if the tanks are ruptured, or contain the oil, hopefully without a spill happening. That makes sense. You don't want to pollute the oceans of the world either. Mr. Sinister says putting 2 strobe lights, one on each front arm, adds about 7 grams in weight. That's a significant amount of weight, man. Does it have by adding the additional weight, does it impact the battery life or the performance, or have you noticed any differences there? So the other thing, I was looking at the ATEM, which is a live streaming piece of hardware, and after looking at the ATEM, I've thought about it, and now with this, with more memory and using Wirecast like I am right now, I don't even know if I'm going to deal with the ATEM. I may get an ATEM if I add a secondary camera, because I've got, and I'll show y'all within an upcoming live show, but I've got a portion of my studio that I'm working to build out. So this is my green screen set, but I'm working to build out a sofa set and all kinds of stuff. So it's going to be cool. Jake says, it's a mandatory safety feature on all hazardous goods tankers and on hazardous goods cargo ships that carry things like explosives. Jake said, some of my military drones have strobe lights fitted to them so they can be tracked by troops using it. That makes sense. Now, are some of those, are they like, what would it be, like an infrared light where you can see it with the NVGs, the night vision goggles? Or where you can see it with goggles, but you might not be able to see it with the naked eye? Hmm. This is tasty. And don't forget to super chat, super chat, super chat, super chat. Mr. Sinister says, I haven't tried a strobe yet. I would assume minimal additional battery usage. That would make sense because you've got the size, you've got the drag that the strobe lights can create, and then also the additional weight that the strobe lights add on. And then Jake says, this is for if the drone loses power and crashes. Then I should say, I got you. Yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen, man. I tell you, I had a sore throat. I mean, no joke. Sore throat, scratchy throat, loss of taste. But since I've been drinking this, it's better. Hopefully it'll stay better. I cannot afford to get sick. I got too many gigs going, man. Too many gigs. Yes. I got a huge cut sheet too of videos to do this weekend. Let's see, what do we have here? Let me see if I got something pop up. Let's see, what do we have? And yes, most modern day UAVs do have night vision tracking feature that can be installed. That makes sense because you're out in the field, you got your NVGs on, your night vision goggles, and you want to see what's going on. I've got actually one of my real world friends, and he's in the middle of it all right now. But he when we do backpacking, the last time we went out, he brought NVGs. It was a monocle. Am I saying that correctly? It was just a single eye, but it was really cool because you could see. I mean, the amount of detail you can see at night with a second generation night vision goggle system is pretty incredible. I'd never seen it before. Jake says, so soldiers can track the drones at night without giving away its position. Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want the enemy to see where the drone is. How much payload can these drones that you're talking about carry? Man, that air is blowing on me. But it make me feels good having air, but it's crazy. It is super crazy. Yeah, I'm excited to see this the Duluth F2T diaphone. Like you said, it's Terry Pepper that posted this. Like I said, I can't do it during the live show because I don't want to. I got to research that. Hopefully someone will join that's super familiar with the YouTube terms of service and be able to say, hey, can you share during a live stream? Can you share another person's video on YouTube as long as people can see, okay, this is who owns it. This is where it's being played from. That's what I got to figure out because I'd love to share that video and let y'all hear the Duluth F2T diaphone. That just sounds cool, man. Sounds wicked. Let's see here. The Predator and Reaper attack UAVs can carry weapons up to the size of the Maverick anti-tank missile. How big is a Maverick compared to a Hellfire? You know, the Hellfire is what the AH-64 Apaches carry. Well, some other helicopters carry those too, but the Duluth F-2T was disconnected in 2006. Everybody's wondering what the Duluth F-2T is. Check my link. Actually, I'll share the link again because it's higher up in the chat. This is a very cool diaphone. Here it is right here. So there's a link. By the way, everyone, just as a reminder, this is the sound of the Super Chat. So if Super Chats come in, this will go off. And all you got to do is Super Chats down there in that chat area. There's a little icon that says Super Chat. If you choose to do so, no pressure. Jake says a Hellfire is also carried by the Predator UAV, and the Maverick and Hellfire are about the same size and power. Very cool. Now that's primarily an anti-tank missile, isn't it? The Hellfire. Super duper cool. More people tuning in, people tuning in to the live stream, the live show. Good to have y'all here. We're talking about foghorns. We're talking about drones. We're talking about Apple. Apple switching to ARM processors. And that's probably going to be announced during the June 22nd WWDC, which is a Worldwide Developers Conference for Apple, which is all virtual this year, interestingly enough. Good stuff. I got to get back in the gym when it's safe to do so. Ninety whatever says there are many Hellfire variations. I know there's Hydras. Are Hydras a Hellfire, or is that a different type of missile? Jake says, remember, I'm in the military, so I've worked with those missiles, and both are anti-tank. Super duper cool. Oh yeah. Jake says, one of my favorite missiles is a Stinger or air-to-air missiles. Very cool. 90 was ever. I was an MQ-9 pilot after flying C-17s. Now, is the C-17 is that the cargo, the big cargo airplane that carries the tanks, or am I thinking of something else? Jake says the Hydra is a totally different rocket, much smaller but powerful. You know what I'm going to do as a curiosity here? I've got Final Cut Pro 10 open while we're doing this live stream, and this is a test of the processing, of the multitasking capabilities of the 16-inch MacBook Pro. I'm going to send two 4K video projects into Compressor. Compressor is the app that I use to encode videos in 4K before I upload them to YouTube. So what I'm doing right now as we're live streaming is I've sent these two projects into Compressor. And before I start them, I'm going to look at memory utilization. And we're going to see where we are before and during. So haven't started Compressor yet. Right now my memory is 19.57 gigs used. So now I'm going to start compressor. I'm exporting in 4K, which is 3840 by 2160. Let's see how this spikes. And keep in mind, I'm doing this while I'm doing the live stream. So all of this chroma keying you're seeing, the audio quality, everything, all of this is happening at the same time. Talk about multitasking. Memory utilization right now, doing all of this concurrently, is right around 21.13 gigs, 21.04. You know, keep in mind, I'm exporting, I mean, this is huge. I'm exporting 4K video projects using compressor while we're doing a live stream. And on top of that, okay, yeah, Final Cut Pro 10 finished rendering. So I was going to say I was rendering in Final Cut at the same time, but I'm not. That part's finished. But it's really incredible. And I'm not nervous because I know Apple's a very, I mean, they're brilliant people. And I think, you know, if they decide to go with the ARM processor, my only fear is that if they go with the ARM and it's not as powerful as Intel's processors, I hope it doesn't gimp our abilities to edit. I hope Apple never steps away from Final Cut Pro 10. If they do, they need to give us a better product. I mean, Final Cut Pro 10 is awesome, but I don't want to see them go, you know, entry-level type processors and not have all the horsepower to do what we're accustomed to doing with our Macs today. Let's see. Jake says, yes, C-17 Globemaster transport aircraft known in Canada as the CC-177. Jake says, the MQ-9 is one of my favorite UAVs and one of the best attack UAVs in the USAF, United States Air Force. 90 whatever says, yes, big cargo platform, can carry one Abrams tank, but really tough on the airframe. I bet that is, man. That's a heavy tank. Jake says, C5As and carry the M12. I'm correct, 90 whatsoever. 90 whatsoever. We've even got a very specialized Hellfire that is targeted anti-personnel version. Unfolds blades just before impact. No explosive warhead. Nasty stuff. That sounds nasty, man. That sounds super nasty. Speaking of nasty, let's see how this memory utilization is now. So with all of this going on concurrently, I'm only using 20.83 gigs. So that reassures me that going 32 gigs memory instead of 64 was plenty, I mean, for what I do, for my use case. Because I mean, there's very few times where I will be live streaming and concurrently exporting 4K video projects out of compressor. The other cool thing about the 2016 MacBook Pro is that I was able to go, my previous 2018 MacBook Pro only had a 512 internal flash. This one I've got 1 terabyte, which ultimately for all my large files, I've got a 14 terabyte mechanical disk that's also backed up to the cloud. So I store all my 4K video, the stuff that I keep. You know, I don't keep everything. If it's just something where I'm shooting a live show or something, you know, in front of a green screen, I don't keep that. But all the destination videos that I have all over the world, British Columbia, the Caribbean, all of that, I keep all that, and I keep it on 14 terabyte external, and then it's backed up to the cloud. I use a service called Backblaze, which is super nice, because if my hard drive ever fails, I've got 100% backup. And actually, I did have it fail. I had one hard drive fail, and I had to download, and it took weeks to download my many terabytes of 4K video, but I got it all back. So, you know, that's a true testament to the quality of that cloud backup service, Backblaze. Jake says, it's carried by the AC-130 Spooky. Oh, by the way, for anyone wondering what the AC-130 Spooky is, it is a gunship variant of the C-130. That's that thing that's in the Battlefield video game, isn't it? The big gunship that you fly around. Spooky. I like that. I'm really concerned. I seriously, I've lost my taste. And they say that losing your taste is a sign of you know what. It's kind of freaking me out. Alarcon Blog says, what bitrate do you use for YouTube? Yeah, I don't play video. I used to play, and it's been many years, but I used to play the Battlefield series, and they had this, it looked like a transport airplane, like the C-130 we were talking about, except in it had all those mini guns, the rotating machine guns. And that's why I was saying that was probably the Spooky you were talking about. What bitrate do I use for YouTube? Let's see. So for my live stream right now, I'm using, let me see. $4,192K. And I would go with 1080p. The problem is my internet, my upstream is pretty gimped. And I need to get faster internet, but the thing is, the provider I'm with now, I'm hoping that I'm grandfathered in, and I don't want to switch. You know how that goes. You know, people try to change rates on you every month. So I'm willing to deal with the slightly slower speed, with the hopes that hopefully my rate will be grandfathered, and hopefully they'll have a faster speed available soon. But I'm only 50 megs down, and on a good day, 4 megs up. So 4 or 5 megs up. So it's not, you know, y'all have probably all got a lot faster internet than I do. So that's why I'm streaming in 720 instead of 1080. Jake says, that sounds about right for a description of the AC-130. AC-130 Spooky. I love that. Just a reminder for everyone tuning in, this is the sound of the super chat. So if you super chat, this thing goes off. And the super chat, just down there in that little chat area, there's a button that says super chat. So let's see, what do we have here? I will say though, tequila is good for the scratchy throat. It definitely is. And I'm excited. That's actually one of the videos that's exporting right now, is how to make the perfect frozen margarita. So I think I may post that video tonight, and then post the how to make homemade tacos video tomorrow. I think that's how I'm going to do it. Because it would make sense. You'd want to have a margarita, and then you'd want to have your tacos. Jake says, AC-130s are armed with the M13 minigun, 105mm howitzer, and Bofors gun, to name a few weapons carried. Viam says, AC-130 is my dream in Call of Duty 4, COD 4. Jake says, the Spooky is a nickname by the U.S. Army for the AC-130, the Spooky. What kind of altitude does the AC-130 typically fly around at when it's doing its thing? Oh, it's actually called the M134 minigun. Pardon my error. Hey, no problem, man. You know your stuff. You caught your own mistake, and that's what matters. Super duper cool. Obviously, I've got the IrixGuy's Adventure channel. Jake says maximum 2,000 feet during combat circuits. You can find the IrixGuy's Adventure channel t-shirts. I've linked I posted a link within the top of the chat. So I gotta lose some weight, man. I'm getting fat down there, man. I'm getting fat because I don't have. Well, I'm not going to go to a gym with this Rona going around. That's just, even if a gym was open, man, I'd have to have rocks in your head to go there, in my opinion. 90 whatever says, let's see, was about to say, how would an M13 hit anyone from 500 feet in the air? 90 whatever, if I'm recalling, I believe the latest version of the AC-130B swapped out the 40 millimeter for a more modern 20 millimeter autocannon. That sounds really cool. Jake says they circle the battlefield providing air support above with other planes. Awesome. Got more people tuning in here. As a reminder for all the newcomers, I got the sound of the super chat. If you choose to super chat, this thing right here will make a sound. But only if you super chat. Jake says, yes, I think you're right, 90 whatever. So we've been talking about foghorns, carrier aircraft, transport aircraft rather. Apple at the WWDC, it's coming up on June 22nd. We've talked about upcoming drone video topics, and I've got a big cut sheet thanks to y'all. I put everything in a sheet. It's just a to-do list for drone videos to film very soon. And we've got, let's see, what else do we have here? Infuse says, do you have any interest in FPV drones or ever tinkered with any? You know, I've seen the drone racing on TV, the FPV, the first person view drone racing, and it seems interesting, but you know, and granted, I used to be in the past. I used to be a pretty big video gamer, and then I got to where I was kind of not interested in video games. If I was in the video game mentality or the video game mindset now, I would probably like that because it's kind of challenging. You know, I may like it anyway. The only reason I haven't personally become involved with FPV drones, with first-person view drone racing, is just because with YouTube, I'm able to do drones and I'm able to focus upon, you know, the videography aspect of it and the tutorial aspect. With an FPV drone, and granted, I mean, maybe that's something I can work into my channel somehow, but I would just have to figure out how can I work that content into my channel. And I guess where I'm going with this, it seems cool, but I guess I get more of a thrill out of flying and filming than I would flying and racing. But that's not to say I'm not going to do it. I think I should. Is there a particular FPV racing drone that you would recommend? And I mean, what's the? I know very little about them. I haven't researched them. What's the ballpark price range? And when you crash it, I mean, are you talking about a few bucks or a few $100 to repair it, to get it airborne again? Or are they pretty resilient when it comes to crash? Jake says, yes, AC-130s do now carry the Bushmaster autocannon. Jake says Bushmaster, I should say. 90 whatever. I've been retired from the Air Force for a few years, so I'm a bit out of the loop on the latest weapon systems. Jake says, I've seen the AC-130s at air shows, and they show you all armaments carried now and in the past. That's super cool. See how it is now compared to how it was back then. Let's check out the memory utilization here of the laptop, because like I said, I'm doing 4K video exports in the background. 22 gigs of memory used, 22 out of 32. That's not bad, man. So I would have to do an insane amount of multitasking to have justified going with 64 gigs of memory over 32. So that makes me feel good. Infused Adventures. I have seen some used for 100 or so. So I guess it depends on what. That's not too bad, man. I mean, I was afraid it'd be a lot more expensive. I may check it out, because that would be another piece of subject matter to introduce to the channel. And that's what I'm about. Things I can enjoy, but things that I don't want just a one and done type topic. I want something that can be explored in a great amount of depth, because that's what works. What tends to work really well for a YouTube channel is a topic or piece of content that that one can explore and have fun, but also share those experiences with the world. So I think I'm going to check that out probably within the next few months, because I got a lot of Mavic Air 2 to do. Jake says, I love the distinct cath-up noise the AC-130 Bofors cannon makes when it's fired in auto mode. Kind of sounds like an M2 Bradley firing its main gun. That's loud, man. The M2 Bradley is an APC. Jake says, I'm a mechanic and I've worked on many military aircraft and equipment from all over the world. Oh, you know what that means. Oh, did not mean to do that. Sorry. Whoa, that wasn't good. What happened, my monitor was here. It slipped out of my hand because my hand was wet from the margarita. That thing's pretty durable, man. It didn't crack. I didn't crack my floor either. That's good. So you know what this is. That, my friends, is the sound of the super chat to celebrate 90 whatever, his super chat. And 90 whatever says, here is a super chat for all the Air Force discussion. Very, very cool. Very interesting conversation. Jake says, actually the M2 is an armored infantry fighting vehicle, or AFV for short. Gotcha. So what is a BMP? BMP that's Russian, isn't it? Infused Adventure says, I'm messing with tiny whoops and simulators myself right now with FPV thing moved up to some 5 inches recommended simulators at first. Dude, I'm going to check that out. Yep, Jake, ditto. Ditto that, man. FPV racing drones. Let's see how this compressor is going here. So it's exporting. My homemade tacos video is about 70% exported. How to make homemade tacos. Jake says, yes, BMPs are Russian APCs still in operation today. Wow. There was a flight simulator, and this was back in the early 80s. But it was back, I mean, it was in the infancy of video games, but it was called Gunship 2000. And you flew an AH-64 Apache, which that was super cool. And I remember flying that, and you know, some of the enemies were BMPs. I remember those. Andrea, and this is another celebration for Andrea's super chat the other day. I got a really cool frozen drink out of it. Deeply appreciated. Jake says, I have a few FPV racing drones, and a little tip. With them, is always to watch how high or how low you fly them so they don't crash and they will hit hard. Yeah, it's funny. That's what I was worried about with traditional drones in the beginning. I'm like, I'm going to spend this much money for something that could potentially crash or fly away. Never look back, man. It's one of those things. It's kind of like, it's risk reward. If you don't take reasonable chances in life, you're not going to have, if you don't take reasonable chances, your rewards will always be underwhelming. But if you take reasonable risk, then your rewards will be more exciting because, risk reward, they say that, especially with penny stocks and everything. Jake says the AH-64 is one of the top combat helicopters in the U.S. military. What's it, that? And then the Cobra. The Cobra is pretty similar to the Apache, isn't it? Yeah, I've got, one of my best friends is in the Marines, and every time we go backpacking, it's talking about all kinds of really cool weapons and all kinds of fun stuff. He was talking about the Osprey. He said that thing was the thing that, the wings come out, kind of the helicopter, and then he said that thing's kind of crazy. Apparently they had some safety concerns with the Osprey. Jake says, yep, the AH-1, except it's smaller than the AH-64. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in and the cool conversation and the super chats. Deeply appreciated. And want to remind everyone, stay safe and stay tuned, because I've got a big list of videos coming, and anything that you see is missing, again, I went through the list of video topics that I have in the to-do list, but anything else you'd like to see, just ask. I'm always looking for video topic suggestions, And I appreciate y'all's viewership. And this is, let's see, we got Jake. Jake says, I'm actually a weapon collector, so I have a lot of old and new military weapons minus rocket launchers. Illegal in Canada. Jake says, I've seen the V-22 Osprey. Very cool. Well, on that note, y'all be safe, and I will see y'all next time. And thanks again for tuning in and the super chats and everything. Y'all have a good day. Yeah. Y'all have a good evening, rather. Hey y'all, IrixGuy here. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe, like, and share. It's viewers like you that enable my channel to continue to grow. Thank you.